I think the positive news which emerged in the IMF meetings is that the global inflation is coming down. It's a good news. Um, while the growth rate seems to be moderate, still in the range of 3 to 3.5%, the bright spark obviously is India, which is expected to grow at around 7% to 7.2%. Even the IMF places the growth rate at 7%. The Central Bank of India believes that the growth rate could be 7.2%. I think it's a really interesting story which is unfolding in India, both in terms of growth trajectory which the country is taking on, and the equity market is doing well, and the inflation is also moderating there, while the food inflation is still a matter of concern there in India.
So let's talk about some different sectors of the economy. You heard me mention the comments by Jamie Dimon over at JP Morgan Chase about supply chains transitioning to India. On the ground, what can you tell us about that actually happening in India right now?
Yeah, I think there's most visible success stories, of course, Apple. 25% of Apple 16 is produced in India. A couple of things which are very seriously being pursued by the government of India is a performance-linked incentive for various industries, more than 16 to 20 industries, particularly in the areas of electronics and semiconductors. So these are the sectors which are getting the performance-linked incentive from the government of India. And there's a good amount of foreign capital which is coming in into these sectors.
And what in particular? Tell us a little bit about that. I think I'm not kidding when we say the ton of stories. I have a pile.
A stack of stories that we have.
India eclipsing China and MSCI global stock ages to drive flows. That was back in mid-September. Blackstone sees Asia as growth engine, has scale in India.
Jensen Huang was there last week.
Brookfield to add to its $13 billion bet on India's projects. So there's so much going on. You point that out. Where in particular, give us some insight for our Bloomberg audience, who's a global audience, about where the money has picked up dramatically.
So the money is mainly coming in the couple of sectors, particularly in the renewables. I think there's a huge amount of focus with the commitment what India has given under the COP26 that by 2030 the addition in the renewable energy would be almost 500 gigawatts. That is attracting a lot of attention. And the logistics is another area, the warehousing, roads, ports. These are all the areas which are attracting the global investment in a big manner.
I was in India now like 12 years ago. And one of the things that I found so dramatic, and it was a trip that I took at like 2 a.m. with my team. We were going to Agra to see the Taj Mahal. But what was fascinating is that's when you saw everything moving around, because that's when the roads were less busy.
Yes.
And just so much infrastructure moving around. What can you tell us, too, about the infrastructure build-out that many have deemed so necessary to take India to the next level?
Absolutely. I think one of the most important requirements for Indian economy to continue to grow is strengthening the infrastructure. And there are two things which are happening. I think there's a significant government expenditure, capital expenditure, which is focused on the infrastructure building up. And there's a private investment also is coming in a big manner in terms of infrastructure. We see a lot of airports being built, seaports being strengthened, and road network, of course, is one of the best now in India. And we have dedicated freight corridors which are coming in, to enhance the speed of moving the goods from one place to another. So I think,
I was just going to say, we only have a few minutes left, but I want to move from the macro to the micro and talk a little about your plans over at SBI and where you're thinking about expansion in terms of parts that you're focused on growing. What are the goals for growth over the next 6 months, 2 years?
So as you know, I think in terms of the reach, we have one of the best reaches. We have the largest network of branches, largest network of ATMs. We have served almost 500 million customers, and every Indian family in some way, is engaged with SBI. We have significantly invested in the technology and digitalization in the last 2-3 years, and we would like to leverage that technology and digitalization to reach the underserved, unserved across the country. Still, I think there are a lot of banking needs which are unmet in India, which we want to reach them, and this investment in technology and digitalization has helped us to reach the bottom of the pyramid in a much lower cost, which means that the investment in technology helped us to increase our operational efficiency. My focus in the next 6 months would be that how do I leverage the investments what we made in technology to increase the operational efficiency and productivity of our employees.
I am curious too that we've noticed too that deposits have been challenging for a lot of, or really all Indian lenders for the past few quarters. So your strategies that have worked, and what else do you plan to do? What's really worked in terms of building out deposits?
Yeah. One thing, of course, is, in India, despite so much digitalization, the physical presence is very much important in terms of deposit mobilization. And we have the largest physical presence there. Number two, we have...
Does that mean you continue to build out the physical presence?
We do. We want to enter into areas where we know we don't have a branch. We would like to set up that physical branch. And we have a very strong mobile application, which is... currently, you will be surprised that every day we've opened 50 to 60,000 savings bank account a day.
Wow.
So we have 27% market share in savings bank, which is the low cost deposits. So our focus would be, how do we strengthen this franchise and start mobilizing more and more low cost deposits.
And increasingly, just got about 15 seconds, are they wealthier deposits too that you're noticing? A lot of wealth creation we're seeing in India.
Yes, and we have largest number of clients who qualify to be wealth management customers. And we are investing in a wealth management technology to reach out to them.
AI too, just quickly?
AI, of course, a large-scale adoption of AI.